FX Nation, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. And in this video guys, like we talked about in our last video, we're going to go over what are the best pairs to trade during the US session. Alright, so that's what we're going to talk about today. And then we're also going to take a look at some quick pairs from London session that produce some very good setups that we want to go ahead and analyze for you. All right. So without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and get started. All right, guys. So as you know, in our last video, we talked about what are the best pairs to trade for London. And today we're going to talk about what are the best pairs to trade for the U.S. session. Typically London, U.S. session, those are going to be the biggest sessions that you're going to have in the Forex market. So clearly, most of us either trade the London or the U.S. session. So with that said, when we talk about trading the U.S. session, we have to obviously go with pairs that are trading, that are active, right, during that session. And that, of course, is going to be the pairs that have the US dollar in them, right? So we're talking like Euro USD, Pound USD, USD CAD, USD JPY, USD Swiss, NZD USD, and AUD USD, right? So those are the most pairs that have AUD in them that should provide some good trade setups, or at least a volume for you to actually trade during the US session, right? So when we try to break this down as far as what pairs should you trade, the one thing that I need you to take into account and understand is that the US session typically does what for us? It typically offers us a reversal from London off of either the high or the low of the day most of the time. If not, it offers us a continuation, right, if we're in a trending market, from the London session. So it doesn't always give us a reversal to go to. Sometimes it gives us a continuation trade, basically, from the London session if we're having a trending market. So one of the downsides I feel to trading the US session is that a lot of times the reversals are going to be very small, and you're not going to have a lot of trades that happen during the US session that give you that really nice big reversal, unless it's induced by news events that happened. Excluding news events, just out of regular days of trading, if you look back into the charts of any of those pairs that have the US dollar in them, you'll start to notice that really the reversal is very small, and typically, it'll get you the 30 to maybe 50 pips that you want. But again, it's not something that's earth-shattering or anything like that, right? So just keep that into account when you're trading the US session. The cool thing about trading the US session is that you know what you're going to get. You're going to trade either off the high or the low, and you're basically one of two things. You're looking for a reversal of the day, or you're looking for a continuation from the trending market. So the same thing as we did with the London pairs is, if you look at the volatility calculator for some of these pairs, you'll start to notice that the US dollar pairs have some of the lowest pip counts out of all these pairs. So for example, you talk about Euro USD, 57.68. And this is, of course, the last 10 weeks. So 57.68. Pound USD is the biggest with 92.38. NZD USD is only 49.58. USD CAD 66. USD Swiss is about 40. AUD USD, that one is 49. So and USD JPY, that's 45. So as you can see, and this is what I'm telling you, that why when you have those reversals, they don't move a lot, is because of this. You see most of them are in the 40s when it comes to providing pips per day, or the average daily range of that specific pair. So it's something that you just have to keep in back your mind when you're trading the US session, is that, you know, your typical ADR for those pairs are about, you know, from 60 to 40 pips or so. So those reversal trades aren't going to produce, you know, some crazy moves, again, unless unless the news comes out, and that's a completely different story. So bearing no news, you know, that's what you'll find. So a good example of that, let's say for today, that just happened, was reversal here that happened during the US session, right? So if we look at this particular chart here, this is Euro USD. Okay, we had a move up to the Asian high, came down, retested it, came back, retested it again, and then finally came down from it. And then we had basically the reversal here that happened, and the reversal actually produced the higher end of the trade compared to the London session. So this is a good example of one of the better trades that you can find. And again, you can see that this total was only 33 pips total, you know. So it may look like a really big trade, but at the end, it's only 33 pips, right? The one from London was half of that by 15 pips, right? So this is just something to think about, is that, you know, you're going to get a lot of the smaller trades happening for the U.S. session if you're not trading the news. If we take a look at like USD CAD had, again, a nice move, a nice clear move from the high of the day, which is basically created a nice M formation here, right? And this move here was only about 33 pips. So as you can see, we're getting, you know, about, you know, what we should be getting from these pairs. If we look at USD JPY, we got to move around the same time, 9:45, the beginning of the U.S. session, all the way down. And I mean, that move from the high of the day was only 22 pips. You know, so these are the other kind of things that I'm talking about, where, you know, it just doesn't produce a lot of big trades unless it's, you know, news induced. So that's something that I want you guys to keep in mind. So you can totally trade the U.S. session. I'm not saying don't trade the U.S. session. The U.S. session is the second, you know, largest, you know, trading session in the world, you know, behind London. So if that's your actual trading time that you have available to do, then by all means go ahead and trade it, and do some back testing on it, guys. Do the back testing on it and perfect it. You know, if you're gonna do something, you need to perfect it. Okay, because there's only one way to get better at it, and that's just to do it over and over and over again. And the fastest way to do that is just to back test, right? So do some back testing on it. Do some back testing on some of these pairs that have the dollar in them, and that way you can really learn how some of these specific pairs move, and you can take advantage of it when it comes to trading the U.S. session. So to answer the question, any pair that has the U.S. dollar in it, so the main ones obviously are Euro USD, AUD USD, Pound USD, USD CAD, USD JPY, USD Swiss, NZD USD. So those are the major pairs. Based on the volatility calculator, you can already see, you know, what kind of the average of what you're going to get. And then you can see that most of the pairs are pretty much active. When you look at the hourly count, you're looking at from 9 to about 12. So it's a 4-hour range that you find that they're the most active. So these are the hours essentially that you would want to, pay attention to for these specific pairs. So this is actually from 8, 9, 10, 11. And then you see at 12, it starts to just basically die off at the end. So very important to keep this in mind when you're looking to trade during the U.S. session. Unless you have news like FOMC news that's coming out at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, your trading window for the U.S. market should be from 8 until 11, because this is when they're most active if you're trading the U.S. session. So just keep that in mind. Again, you see here, it's most active during from 8 to 11, and then it just dies down. So just keep that in mind, guys, and just be smart about it. Use this to your advantage. Use the days for each individual pair. Like I told you in the last video, if you make an Excel spreadsheet with all these different pairs, you can pretty much every single day you come into the market, you can look at Monday and look on your spreadsheet and see what pairs move the most on Monday, and look for setups during those specific pairs. When you break down to those pairs, let's say, you have two or three pairs that you found off of your spreadsheet that are very likely to move on Monday, then you start to take a look at, okay, well, what hours are they the most active? What hours do they have the most volatility? And then you're looking for setups throughout those hours. It's just something that gives you a little bit more of an advantage when it comes to trading the market on the U.S. session. It's just little pieces of extra tools that you'll have available to you that you can use to trade. So let's look at some of the setups that happened during London for some of these pound pairs, and they pretty much did damn near the same move on all of them for the most part. They were all type 1 setups, right? So we have the Asian session here, and then of course here we have the false move to the high of the day. And if you switch them over to the line chart, you'll start to see, that here's your M here that you get off of this is pound CAD, right? So there's your M. Now this is just a plain chart, right? This isn't having any kind of indicators or anything like that on it. This is literally just looking for the straight pattern. If you look at like pound AUD did a very similar move, and if you switch over to the line chart, you can see the M, right? And that's what you're looking for. So a nice clear type 1 M here. If you go to pound NZD, same thing. Go to the line chart. What do you see? You see a nice M. Go to pound USD. What do you see? See a nice M, right? So you can see that, all four of these pairs produced very similar, almost identical moves, but you see how each pair, the actual move total wasn't the same, right? You can see how pound AUD went all the way down and pound NZD did not. Pound NZD only came to the middle of the range, right? So this move on pound NZD was about 45 pips. The move on pound AUD was about 33 pips. Pound on pound CAD, the move on pound CAD, that one was 37 pips. So you see how the count is essentially different on each of them, but you get a very similar, identical move. And the whole point of this is the fact that you can get this move and it becomes clear to you, and you're seeing it without any kind of indicators. You're seeing it without any kind of indicators. You're just looking for the pattern, right? Now, when you start to add some indicators to it, you can basically use the indicators to help you confirm what you're seeing. So, for example, if we take pound AUD and let's say we add a TDI to it, and we're looking now at, let's say, a line chart here, right? You can see the second leg of the M here. When it starts to create it, what happens on the TDI? It's outside of the bands and it's coming right back in, and it crosses the red signal line right on the second leg, right? Now, though that's an extra form of confirmation that you can use, but let's say you add in a 200, EMA, and you see that the 200 EMA is right there, Now, if you look at it on, let's say, pound CAD, and you just take away the 200, you just look at the chart with the TDI, it's the same thing, right? The green's outside of the bands coming into the red, and it's literally right there at that M, right there. You see it crossed over, and boom, there's your trade. So when you look at something like pound NZD, for example, look what price does here, right? It goes all the way up and it pins the 200 EMA, comes down, goes right back, retests that same pin, and then it drops. Well, if you bring the TDI in, what is the TDI telling you? Green's outside the band, crossing over the red signal line right here, right? And this is basically during this candle. So these are all things, these are all tools, extra tools that you can use to confirm or not confirm what you're seeing. So let these just be extra tools that you can use to help you confirm what you're seeing and what you're thinking that potentially is going to happen. All right? So guys, I hope that this video added some value to you in what you are looking for when it comes to trading the US session, especially with the pairs. Like I said, guys, make that spreadsheet and put the info in from this. Okay? Use this to your advantage. Don't let this just sit there and not do anything. Use it to your advantage. You need every advantage that you can to trade against these guys. So might as well take advantage of it. Okay, use all the tools possible for you. Guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. We really appreciate your support. And guys, until the next video, have a great rest of your trading week. Guys, one last thing. Thank you so much for watching my videos. I really appreciate the fact that you take the time to watch my videos. I really hope that I've added value in each of the videos that I make for you guys, and I hope that you're learning something. As always, guys, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Please like and share the videos if you found value in them. And also, don't forget to visit our website at www.fxntradinggroup.com. Once again, guys, thank you so much. I'm truly blessed.